Am I the a-hole because an employee died after I fired her? Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for daily content. Throwaway account. I manage a retail shop in a tourist city. I hired an applicant named Bruce. He had a full-time job, but he was perfect for the 16 ish hours I was looking to cover. Months later I was looking for seasonal help. Bruce recommended his roommate, a woman with a medical assistant background named Sally. Around the holidays a lot of people step outside their chosen fields to earn more money. Sally's references checked out and I hired her. Sally's training period was uneventful. During that time I learned she had type 1 diabetes. We worked out a break schedule so she could eat/test whenever she needed. It wasn't a hardship to accommodate her. Her performance was disappointing. When asking for ID with credit cards she would make comments like, "You gained so much weight since this picture, this says you're blonde, your hair is blue, I can't accept this." She would argue about tasks saying she's a cashier and isn't paid enough to sweep the floor or tidy up merchandise. The job role specified both tasks. She didn't accept feedback gracefully. I told her her employment was in jeopardy. Bruce calls me, they are now married. They sped up the relationship because she needed the healthcare and he needed her to be on the lease of his apartment. On my end, all I had to do was have them sign liability waivers and schedule them apart. A few weeks later I get a customer complaining Sally denied him service because she didn't like his tattoos. A second customer calls to complain that not only did Sally deny service because of tattoos but she pulled down her pants to show him a tattoo on her backside. On camera I find Sally mooning the customer. I typed up a termination notice and fired her. She refused to sign it or take a copy. I treated the situation as any other, stuck to she is no longer with the company. If asked. Bruce didn't quit. But he got angry at me not long after. Sally had applied for a hospital job and was denied because I gave a bad reference. No one had called me for a reference. Sally told him I fired her for being messy and combative about breaks. This is not true, but I can't tell Bruce that. Unless Sally signs a disclosure I can't share any details of her employment/termination with anyone. I called the hospital that denied Sally. The HR department told me that they had an application from her but had not reached out for references as she was not being considered. What I infer from this is, Sally lied to Bruce about why she was fired and then when the job search went bad she told Bruce I was ruining her prospects. Soon after Bruce calls, he'd been trying to call Sally but she didn't answer. He went home from his other job and found her dead, complications from diabetes. Bruce quits. He says she would still be alive if I hadn't fired her or sabotaged her, that I am the reason his wife is dead. I didn't tell him she lied to him. I don't see any way that would help him with his grief. Holy shit, what a roller coaster of a story. NTA. Rip Sally, but she's ta in this situation. Yeah, this story is nuts. Hope OP doesn't blame themselves in any way because damn they are NTA big time. I mean I can only imagine the guilt OP feels after something like this. Extremely common to feel guilt over someone's death by irrationally connecting it to something you did, even though the two things aren't related at all. NTA, and OP, if you need to talk, we're all here, and it's not your fault, at all. I'm trying to think if I was ever in my life as stupid as that guy, but it doesn't seem like it. Certainly never as annoying or dishonest, let alone both. I hope I never forget he was bleed from his mouth and... Do you care? Do you care? That's just free comedy. God damn. WTF. That went south real fast, like a bad movie on steroids. Every time I think my life sucks I see something like this on AITA and realize there are people in much worse situations than I am in. OP is still NTA. Honestly, if you could insert but wait, there's more. After each revelation, this would pretty much be a daytime soap opera. Yup. OP, he is using you as a scapegoat to deal with his losses. He lost a roommate, a wife, and a job in a very short amount of time. Don't take his outbursts too seriously. This was not your fault in the slightest. Rip Sally. At this rate, she's gonna be raising hell in heaven or more hell in hell. Geez God, you look so old. Satan, you better trim those horns off. My signature was printed on my driver's license in the state I lived in, then let you renew by mail or online, and just reused your photo and all your info, so I had my photo and signature from when I was 16 on my license until I was like 28. Oddly, the signature gave me way more issues than the photo, because by 161 pretty much looked like I was gonna look for the long haul. I started looking 22 when I was 16 and kept on looking 22 until I was in my 30s. But my signature got a lot less defined as I got older. I'm assuming your handwriting got much worse. I'm 30 and my handwriting is basically worthless to anyone but me. I usually type. No one ever reads anything I handwrite, so it's deteriorated, haha. Back in the days of traveler's checks, I went on my last day of vacation in London, on an actual sunny day, to get a check cashed. The teller stared hard at me, then barely glanced at the check and my passport and said the signatures don't match. I told her, I'm writing on different paper, surfaces and with different pens, so no, they won't perfectly. She just chucked them at me and sniggered with her colleague, maybe at me, maybe at something else. But I saw red. I stormed back to her and said, laugh all you want, I'll still be in the sunshine up there, and you'll be down in the basement here. The shock on their faces was wonderful. Yeah, with all her BS and everything, I would still recommend OP to take this over to legal advice, because although there may be clearance and receipts for her being bad, the husband does not know this and may press some legal charges, and OP should know if he needs to lawyer up or not. Edit. Okay, maybe him going to that subreddit is the worst idea, but Bruce may still try to press charges based off of his account of things. OP never mentioned to Bruce why she was fired because she didn't sign a disclosure. So he may file anyways based on what she had told him beforehand and his belief that if she wasn't fired she would be alive. Exactly. There's no guarantee she would have been working that day anyway. There's also no guarantee that even if she was at work, they could have saved her. Maybe she was rationing out her insulin, because they couldn't afford her insulin. Who knows what happened? OP isn't responsible for Sally's death. Bruce is grieving, but that doesn't give him the right to call OP a murder. As a type 1 diabetic, it sucks, but it's a condition you have to be alert and on top of things to manage. She just doesn't sound like someone with good judgment, which is an accident waiting to happen. Being a messy person doesn't mean you should die, of course, but there was really nothing OP could have done. They mentioned that they had to cut it due to the character limit, that his reasoning is that if she were at work, any job for that matter, then someone would have seen her collapse and give her first aid/alert emergency services. Thing is, they were on different shifts, so this could have happened whilst he was at work and she was sat at home watching daytime nor whatever hours before their shift. There is no need for OP to correct the record in any way, shape or form, as he won't hear it. IDK what happened with the other place for her to say OP sabotaged her chances when he was never contacted. Could have just had a bad interview or be pipped at the post by someone else for some arbitrary reason. That information has been taken to her grave and the HR team is not at liberty to divulge anything of the sorts and probably didn't even have to respond to OP when asked. Showing him the CCTV footage and the unsigned termination papers detailing why, won't fix anything, so just cut your losses that you lost a competent employee not so long after you fired an argumentative one. NTA. A healthcare system that makes staying alive conditional on employment is the asshole. Not you. Even if you're employed, you may not be much better off. My wife needed a couple ultrasounds and that visit was $400. The last time I got sick and needed antibiotics it was a $160 appointment. Ambulance rides are such a scam. You're better off taking an Uber and hoping you don't die on the way there. If you call an ambulance, you get to look forward to not eating for a few weeks since you're not going to have money left to feed yourself afterwards. My wife's experience with a previous doctor showed us that too many doctors have no business being doctors either. Oh? You're still here? You're a beast. Don't forget to check out these videos for more content. Okay, bye.